Hey folks, hope you're having a good afternoon. Today we're going to continue the Space Haven Brutal tutorial series. I want to do something a little bit different this time. Let's get started with it though, and then we'll talk about what we're doing today. So I'm going to load our most recent save here. So this is a quick warning. Spoilers for the previous episode that was released just before this one. If you're watching on YouTube, I suggest to go watch that episode first. Except for the last, watch that episode first, starting about an hour in, I think. With that being said, go do that if you want to watch that. And then let's get into what we're doing today. Okay, so when we last left off, unfortunately, our entire crew has been captured by aliens. One of our 5 crew members has died. The other 4 are in suspended animation on board an alien derelict, which is called the CS pirate ship CS Hamburg. Unfortunately, this means our playthrough is pretty much over because we can't fly a ship with no people on board. What I want to do today, though, is I want to fast forward for a while and just see if somebody else will come and try to rescue our remaining crew members. And while we're doing that fast forwarding exercise, I want to recap what happened in the last episode, because I wanted to give you guys this episode where we died because, in the sake of full disclosure, transparency, and all that kind of stuff, I make mistakes too. Stuff happens. But I think there are things that we can learn from those mistakes, so I want to go over those today. And I'm going to leave this running in the background on the off chance that our crew gets rescued. So we'll listen for anything like that happens. I'm going to turn off the music, though, so that we don't have overlapping, competing music from 2 different versions of the game going here. Okay, so there we go. So what I want to do now then is I want to switch to the recording of this. Let's leave this running. I'm going to switch to the recording that I made from the last session, and let's go through it a little bit at a time and talk about what happened. So here we've just jumped into the sector, I think. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so this is where we first get on board the derelict. Let me see if I can mute this. I should have figured this out ahead of time. Here we go. Yeah, so that way I'm not talking over myself from the previous video. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. So I've entered. Everybody has about 2/3 rest in the yellow bar, which is okay. And we're making good progress so far here. We don't see any mistakes at this point. We're just fighting our way through as best we can. We see that there's a bunch of aliens on board, and I withdraw out to here in order to get some good clear sight lines so we can take on the aliens 1 or 2 at a time as soon as they come into view. And I think that was pretty successful. So far, we don't see any mistakes here. After that exchange, Uname is pretty wounded, so we want to keep him in the back, but we're otherwise doing okay. Here, Una gets wounded, which isn't great. But I think at this point we're still doing all right, relatively speaking. Okay, so we make our way through the first 2 waves of aliens. And we reach the nest. Okay, at this point we see there's a lot of aliens on board, but we're still okay right now. Okay, this is where things kind of start to get complicated. So we see that there's guys coming from both directions here, coming from the left and coming from the top. That might be kind of an early warning sign that maybe we could have problems with this playthrough, but there's only crawlers at this point, so withdrawing back here is a pretty good move to try to get rid of them all. We also see that our oxygen is pretty low, so that's kind of a problem. Okay, and at this point I've noticed that the oxygen is low, so we're sending all of our guys back to get oxygen. And at this point we're surrounded, so we've had a couple of guys wander in from the other. I think there must have been 2 nests on board the ship. We didn't see this other area here, but I think there was aliens wandering in from this area, or at least, there was enough aliens on board that they were wandering kind of in both directions here. So here I have to stop in order to fight the guys that are surrounding me, and I think this is really where things start to go badly wrong. Here, at this point, So let's take stock of where we are at this point. So at this point, everybody's out of oxygen. We have two crew members who are badly wounded, and one of them, actually two of them, are almost unconscious. So at this point, I think that I should be thinking, let's get back to the shuttle and let's go back to the ship. But here, what I'm actually doing here is I'm going to go and get oxygen and try to proceed with the run, because my initial thinking was, okay, well, I've cleared most of the aliens on board at this point, and I really want to kill the eggs before they hatch, so I should try to hurry back there. But this is my first like major mistake, I think, in this playthrough. Was I should have looked at my crew and said, okay, at this point in time, half of my crew is ready to drop. And the other half, actually nobody has above half on their rest bar. So at this point, this is like the first big decision point where I could have said, okay, maybe it's time to take my crew back and have them rest and try this again another time. Ideally, what I would have done in this situation was I would have loaded my guys onto the shuttle, brought them back to the ship, and then jumped to another sector to rest so that the aliens didn't have time to spawn while I was there. But again, I was, feeling kind of overconfident because I just got all these rifles and stuff, and I was thinking, well, their blue bars look full. A couple guys are still, in the red and health-wise, and so I want to try to rush the nest and see if I can get rid of all the eggs. So that was a huge mistake here, and that was really what cost me this playthrough. Here, we managed to get through another wave. So we see there's still a bunch of aliens on board. Now, this is like the second point where I should have said, okay, I got a bunch of injured guys, and there's still a big guy coming, so maybe it's time for me to turn around. And again, I'm like making this... So actually, now I see there's two big guys. There's one over here, and there's one that just went this way. So not only am I kind of overwhelmed with the amount of aliens that are on board, but I'm also in danger of being cut off, having my retreat closed off. So I should be backing away at this point. But I don't. Okay, and now here I have one guy that goes unconscious, and at this point I'm boxed in on both sides, right? So I have to fight. I have no option really. I could try to go this way, but it's very likely that I'll encounter another alien coming out this door. So my best option is to stand and deliver. And try to micromanage my guys as well as possible. And at this point, I finally realize, hey, maybe I should bring in my 5th crew member and try to help out. It's kind of like too little too late at this point, but it's better than nothing. So at this point, I'm down to 2 guys. So I've already lost half my crew. Or almost half of my crew. And I could have lost all of my guys right here. Here I get very lucky, and I managed to get my guys back to the other side of the ship here. And I think I actually managed to get them outside the hull, if I remember correctly. So this was kind of a very lucky escape. This guy easily could have taken on both of my guys. Actually, we didn't quite escape. So sure enough, he does take out both of my guys. One of them actually just falls unconscious on his own because he had so much exhaustion from earlier. So now at this point, I still have one good crew member. And I'm thinking, like, there's this thing called sunk cost fallacy where you think that you spent so much on a particular endeavor that, you have to go all in, basically. You have to try to make an investment out of it. But at a certain point, you have to realize whatever resources you've spent on an endeavor, if that endeavor is not producing any returns, you have to give up the resources that you've spent and move on. So at this point, it's almost too late for that because I've only got one crew member, and it wouldn't really be much of a playthrough to play with only one crew member. I could still try to mine and travel and get to the end of the galaxy and technically win the game, but I would kind of have lost all of my combat capability and my industry and my botany and all that kind of stuff, and it would have been a really big struggle to manage this ship on my own. What I could have done if I really wanted to make this work was maybe try to build some logistics robots to help me out with shipboard tasks. So things like restocking the generator, restocking the oxygen generators, and gathering food from the botany beds and things like that could be done, even though I'm lacking crew members. But that's pretty desperate play style, I would say. I think at this point we've kind of given up the ghost. So I send in my 5th crew member here to try to make the best of a bad situation. rather than trying to play through the rest of the game with only one guy. And it doesn't work out for me at all. Okay, so here what actually happened was I tried to go in one direction, didn't work out. I came back into the shuttle, tried to go the other direction, and that really didn't work out either. There was really no way this was going to work out, right? Because the only thing that I could hope to do is maybe get to Uname and try to free him. And keep in mind, Tommy's only got a pistol here. So, you know, my hope was that, my faint hope was that if I could get a hold of Uname and maybe get him down from there, maybe he would regain consciousness on his own, and then the two of them would be able to fight their way out. That's not how it works out here. Spoiler alert. Okay, I did manage to get him down. The problem that I have now is that he's unconscious. I have to carry him if I want to get him anywhere. And I'm cut off by this guy on the other side. I should have dropped this guy. I should have dropped Uname a square sooner. I'm having trouble with the controls here because my guy sheathed his weapon. Here I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can make my way by, but I should have checked and seen that there was more aliens over here first. I mean, I'm pretty much dead at this point. There's nothing I can do. So my only hope is that I can somehow either fight through the guys on my left here, or Uname will wake up and help me out. But this is pretty much the end of it. So I wanted to go over that with you guys to show that, you know, this isn't just a random occurrence, that sometimes the alien just screw you. This is really bad decision making on my part. And I think there's something that we can learn from this, which is always respect the aliens, especially in the mid to late game. Never sort of underestimate the ability of multiple haulers and crawlers coming from multiple directions to be able to ruin your day. So no matter how good you think your crew is, you know, if you've got like less than 8 guys on board, you want to play it carefully. And if you're playing a big ship like the IRS Mary Shelley, even 8 guys might not be enough. So you want to be conservative. You want to check your rest bars, which are the yellow bars in the middle of your crew's status. And you want to make sure that your crew is healthy and ready to go before you board a derelict. And know when to quit while you're ahead, because it's going to ultimately cost you more in the long run if you keep throwing good resources after bad, as we did in this case. So I wanted to just quickly go over that, and I think we're going to start a new playthrough now that we've done that. I'm going to start a new recording for that, though. So if you're watching on Twitch, we'll be right back in just a second. If you're watching on YouTube, that'll be next week's episode. Be right back. And incidentally, oh, hold on a second. I was about to pause the recording here, but actually we have a Slavers Guild ship coming into the sector. They're going to destroy our ship. Yes, we'll cease fire. They're going to try to... There's a remote possibility that they might try to board the alien derelict and free us. And then we could surrender to them. Okay, they're actually trying to board. Let's see what happens. Maybe we get lucky. I think they're going to get wiped out. But let's see. Okay, we could see that they're fighting. We can't actually see what they're doing because they're not an allied faction. Oh. They're making some headway. You know, it's not a good day when you have to rely on the Slavers Guild to rescue you. I feel like we're winning the lottery here. Sort of. We really wish I could see what they were shooting at. Oh, you guys are gonna blow it. Don't do that. Don't do that. I think one of their guys dropped. Did they blow it? I think they blew it. Tommy has low oxygen. He's about to die. Because he's unconscious, he's got no oxygen, he's never going to wake up again. They must have cut him down, but unfortunately, he's not in a shape where he can actually do anything to help himself. We can try to tell him, we can mark him as surrendered. There's a possibility to help him, but no, didn't work out. Okay, we see the Slavers Guild drop. So just like the other AI crew that came in, they had the potential to rescue us, but they completely screwed up and didn't do anything useful because the AI is just not that intelligent. So I think that was our last hope, and we're going to restart with a new playthrough at this point. We don't see any more Slavers Guild shuttle coming over. We'll put it on fast for on 4X for a minute just to see if they send the shuttle again, but I don't think they're going to. And the thing is, even if our 3 remaining guys were rescued at this point, one of them's out of oxygen, so he's going to be unconscious and die. The other 2, they have this debuff that they're infected. So it's likely that even if they get cut down and rescued and brought back to the safety of the ship, they're going to die anyway because of the infecting alien organism that they've contracted. So we're going to, again, we're going to wrap up there, and we're going to start a new playthrough for next time.